Hi everyone, how are you doing? My name's Stephanie. I am a specialist coach and trainer working in the field of behaviour change, specifically alcohol, mostly, some of the time, maybe. You might have seen my other video around physical addiction. If you haven't, please watch that. It goes with this video. So this video is just a little bit on relapse, slips, blips. I'm not going to go deep into my intro because you do need to watch the other video around physical addiction. So here's the thing. Relapse, blip, slip, lapse, whatever you want to call it, it really doesn't matter, is part of the process. Some of you will have blips, slips, relapses, lapse, overindulge. Some of you won't. It doesn't mean anything, okay? So the cycle of change, or as I like to call it, the bicycle of change, but I will explain. So the cycle of change is pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance, relapse. Did you get that? Relapse is part of the change process, okay? It's part of what happens. It's normal. There is nothing wrong with you. We just need to be a little bit careful though, in terms of that we're managing risk and we're managing our health and we're doing everything we can to support ourselves, which is what I'm going to talk a little bit about. So think of it in terms of, you know, it's not just alcohol. This shows up everywhere. Exercise, healthy eating. So for instance, if you decide to follow a healthy eating plan, very few people will follow that healthy eating plan to 100%. Unless maybe it's life-threatening if they eat whatever it is they can't eat. But even then, people still dip in and out of that, don't they? So imagine you're, you know, doing no processed sugar for 30 days and you eat a Mars bar. So what? Big deal. Just get back on track, yeah? It's not the end of the world. Now, obviously eating a Mars bar isn't the same as having a couple of bottles of wine or downing a bottle of vodka or whatever you do, and then the impact of that on your life, because sometimes it isn't just about the amounts of alcohol. With a relapse, blip, slip, overindulge moment, there can be many ramifications, okay? So the trick is to get back on track as soon as possible. Damage limitation and not give yourself a hard time. However, we need to be a little bit careful about risks around physical addiction. Please watch my other video that explains more on physical addiction and withdrawal. Now, say you've been alcohol free for a few months and then you have a drink over a few days. The risks there around physical addiction and withdrawal are around the amounts that you've been drinking and maybe anything else that you've got going on around your age, gender, mental health, physical health, medication, etc. Please watch the physical addiction video, which will explain more about that, okay? Now, once you're back on track and you haven't given yourself a hard time and you're looking after yourself, then it's looking at what can you do, how can you learn from that, yeah? And to use that going forward. The other thing to be aware about with relapse for some of you is, so amounts obviously are an issue. The amounts that you drink when you relapse, the impact on your life. So sometimes for people when they drink, it's about behaviour. You know, the impact on your physical health, the impact on your mental health, the impact on any medications you're taking, obviously addiction and withdrawal. And also there is a risk around overdose, and tolerance is a factor as well. So some of you may or may not be aware that if we drink too much alcohol in one go, then we can overdose and die from alcohol. Again, I can't give you a specific amount. And even if I did, that would be wrong to do so, because what might be an amount for you at one point is not going to be an amount for you at another point. Yeah, because maybe there's other stuff going on or your tolerance has changed. So tolerance is a factor as well. If you've been alcohol free for quite a period of time and then you have a drink, for most of you, it's going to blow your socks off because you have no tolerance, okay? That is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Well, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because alcohol is a drug, highly addictive, harmful substance. So I want you to feel the strength of it, as opposed to when we're drinking regularly and it's not really touching the sides. But the other side to that is obviously the impact on your physical and emotional well-being, and the risks around overdose, the risks around physical addiction, the risks around withdrawal, and whatever you do while you're in the relapse, okay? Now, if you are somebody that is concerned about your relapses, so you want to be alcohol-free, but for some reason you just can't get it, yeah? For whatever reason. There's a few angles to this. So one is the risks of your relapse are a factor, and what do we need to do about that? Do you need to be alcohol free, and what options do you have? So if you are someone whose relapse is a high risk or risky, and you need to be alcohol free, your drinking is risky or riskful, whatever you want to call it, then I would want you to be liaising with your doctor. Maybe, is there an underlying factor around mental health or trauma? Could you talk to an alcohol specialist and maybe figure out what's going on? There are options around medication as well. I will do another link for that too. So there'll be a couple of links that go with this. So one is a link to a blog I wrote about the cycle of change, which actually I call the bicycle of change, because I think we learn, and we go through this cycle and we keep moving forward, because we do learn. We learn from every bit of alcohol-free time. So I don't like to say, unless it motivates you, that you're going back to day one, because you've got 3 months alcohol-free. That's a hell of a lot of learning that you can build from. You can just get back on track and off you go again, okay? But you have to do you and figure out what works for you, okay? The other part is, if you relapse and it's not high risk, it's just an annoyance, I would say don't sweat it. Keep engaging in the community, keep engaging in the Zoom calls, look after yourself. I mean, if you are concerned, you can talk to a specialist, you can talk to your doctor. Is there an underlying issue? Same things apply. But sometimes I've had conversations with people where they've been cross with themselves because they can't be abstinent, and then they've told me how much they're drinking. They're only having a couple of glasses of wine. I'm like, it's not the end of the world. I get it. I hear you. But keep engaging, keep learning, keep moving forward. Don't give yourself a hard time. The difference is if your relapses, blips, slips, overindulgence are risky, then there are options. And obviously we would want to put support in place to support you with that, whether that's around medication or whether that's around therapeutic support or something more specific. Okay, so as I said, the links that go with this video, please watch the physical addiction video. I will do a link to a blog I wrote about the bicycle of change, and I will do also a link for some information around maintenance medications for people who want to remain alcohol free. These are different to the medications that you might be prescribed to be able to withdraw safely from alcohol. I hope that makes sense. Look after yourselves. Bye.